The CJOB Guaranteed Weather Report for Winnipeg and southern Manitoba. Both sun and cloud in the forecast for today. The wind increasing to north at 20 kilometers per hour. The CJOB Guaranteed high -10. Mainly clear tonight with a light wind, a low of -16. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be mainly sunny, a light wind, and a high of -10. For Friday, sunshine and a high of -9. Right now in Winnipeg, it is cloudy at -13 Celsius. The wind is from the north at 6 kilometers per hour, and the relative humidity is 88%. Again in Winnipeg, it's cloudy and -13. I'm Lorne Edwards, and that's the latest news to 10:07 from the CJOB News Center. For more news, go to cjob.com. And now back to CJOB's Adler Online with Richard Kluche.
Breaking news, according to Reuters news service, Iraq will approve the UN resolution, the latest in bin Laden. And surprise, surprise, folks, he names Canada as well.
When it comes to religion, everyone has an opinion. You're invited to bring yours to CJOB 68 every Sunday from 7 till 8 p.m. Join your hosts, Chris Wells and David Balzer, for God Talk. Discuss religious beliefs, practices, and controversial issues. Tune in Sundays from 7 till 8 p.m. for a little thought-provoking God Talk with Chris Wells and David Balzer. Live, local, first on CJOB 68, the Superstation.
The smooth finish, the rich aroma, the pride in knowing you created something with your own two hands. Have you ever considered woodworking as a hobby? Well, you're not alone. And Canadian Woodworker will equip you with the tools and knowledge to take you there. From beginners to experts, sign up for one of Canadian Woodworker's classes and learn how to make your own cabinets, tables, or even a toy chest for the kids or grandkids. And here's one of Canadian Woodworker's expert instructors to tell you more.
Hi, I'm Cliff Reynolds from Canadian Woodworker. Wood turning is an addictive hobby. No sanders required. Turn and sand your project all on the lathe. Once you learn how to turn, it's the fastest way to produce finished projects. At Canadian Woodworker, we offer an 8-week wood turning class or 3-hour specialty classes. From beginner to advanced, we have a class for you. At Canadian Woodworker, we stock everything you need for your wood turning hobby. For more information or to register, call Canadian Woodworker today at 786-3196.
This holiday season, Doug Dufresne of Dufresne Furniture and Appliances wants you and your family to enjoy a special gift.
Absolutely. The gift of a good night's sleep. A safe and sound one at that.
And during Dufresne's Better Than Half Price Sealy Posturepedic event, getting that good night's sleep is easier than ever. Like the Sealy Perfect Comfort Elegance, for example.
That's right. We'll give you better value than our competitors' half-price sale.
Plus these two special bonuses, a free smoke detector and a fire extinguisher with the purchase of any Sealy Posturepedic mattress set.
We'll give you extra gifts for extra peace of mind.
Invite Dufresne into your home for the holidays. It's Dufresne's Better Than Half-Price Sealy Posturepedic event. You'll also receive a free smoke detector and fire extinguisher with any Sealy Posturepedic purchase. Plus, free next-day delivery, free setup, and free removal of your old mattress. Use your Dufresne card and do not pay till 2004 OAC. See store for details. This is a limited-time offer, so give yourself the gift of a good night's sleep. Visit Dufresne Furniture and Appliances today.
Good night from Dufresne.
You're listening to CJOB 68, the Superstation. Adler Online with Charles Adler is in hibernation till next week. Richard Kluche is clawing through your phone calls now at 780-6868.
The tape was broadcast on Al Jazeera television, which says the voice on it is that of al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. The speaker praises the recent terrorist strikes in Bali and Moscow, and it specifically names Canada and other U.S. allies in warning them against siding with Washington in an attack against Iraq.
So we can't separate ourselves from the United States in this. It's the message we've been telling you all along, and that when New York was hit, so was Canada. And folks, the reality is we could be a target as well. It didn't get much attention, but last week we told you about a conference in Calgary where a high-level representative in the oil business said that, yes, they had been a potential target months before 9/11. The latest news coming from Washington and the United Nations now in New York that Iraq has accepted the UN resolution on the return of weapons inspectors. This, according to a senior Arab diplomat at the United Nations. We're joined on CJOB 68 by Stuart Bell of the National Post in Washington. Stuart Bell, thank you for joining us. I gather this is no surprise that Iraq would accept this. They really didn't have a choice.
No, I guess not. I mean, when you're confronted with the prospect of I guess having martyrdom achieved for you by American bombers, it's not a difficult choice to make.
But is this just another chapter in the cat and mouse game? In other words, you're going to be reporting months from now that Saddam Hussein is taking steps to play cat and mouse with the inspectors, and therefore this does not derail the policy of the U.S. administration.
Yeah, I'm not really an expert on the Iraqi situation, so I can't really get into too much detail on that. But Saddam has a great history of playing cat and mouse with the inspectors, and what's to make us believe that he's going to be any different now than he was before?
What's your sense of what's going to come out of Washington now within the next 48 hours? Does Bush continue hammering away at bin Laden? In other words, the military buildup will continue?
Well, I wonder if the revelations that bin Laden seems to be alive and planning attacks might cause Washington to decide that perhaps Iraq isn't the priority right now, that the resurgence of Al-Qaeda, which seems to be occurring over the last month or so, is a more pressing issue than dealing with Saddam.
So I would imagine then the pressing issue would be home front security. Where is that in Congress right now, the whole idea of a new infrastructure to tackle home front security in the United States?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on U.S. policy at all, so I'm probably not the right person to answer that question.
How does this apply then to Canada, Stuart? Because the tape itself names Canada, and for such a long time, people in Canada were feeling that, well, this couldn't happen here. To me, by him naming this, it does target Canada as well.
Well, yeah, Canada has been sort of an indirect target in the past, in that since '98, bin Laden has been saying that the targets of his attacks are the Americans, the Jews, and their allies. Canada, of course, is a close ally of the Americans and also the Israelis. And so there's always been the implication that we were a target. Now it's much more overt, obviously. It's not an implication at all. We've been singled out as one of the enemies of bin Laden, and I think it's from now on, it's open season on Canadians.
So how should we be reacting? How should our leaders be reacting to this, Stuart?
Well, we should be reacting, we should be treating this extremely seriously, I believe. Even if it's not bin Laden, and we still don't know for sure, the messages coming out of Washington, the analysts, the CIA, et cetera, are saying that they believe it is him. But even if it's not, I think this indicates that just the fact that Canadians are named on this tape shows that they've really woken up to the fact that Canada is a part of this war on terrorism, both through our military efforts in Afghanistan as well as, as our police and intelligence operations.
Have we taken this seriously enough, though, Stuart?
No, not at all. No, not in Ottawa. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that take it seriously, but I think the federal government has been downplaying the threat to Canadians. You often hear federal politicians and government agencies saying, well, Canada is not a target itself, but Canadians should be careful. They might be caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think that's the wrong interpretation, especially after the Bali explosion, where it was really an anti-Western attack, not an anti-American attack, that Canadians are targets.
Still, we have this airport tax. The money is flowing, all in the name of security, is it not?
Well, there's been, sure. I mean, there's been more money put into security, into CSIS and the RCMP for sure. But I think it has to do more, my concern more has to do with the attitude of Ottawa, of the Liberals. I don't think they take this seriously enough at all. I don't think they view this as a serious problem. They have to do a certain, they have to adopt certain policies just to appease the Americans because they're afraid of the border. The Americans closing off the border, which would cause severe economic problems for Canadians. But in terms of realistically understanding or acknowledging that Canadians are at risk, I don't think the federal government, the Chrétien government, get it.
Has the fact that the Chrétien government not gotten it transposed itself on the Canadian public in the sense that if you were to ask anybody in Canada, there's still a sense that, well, this happened in New York. There's only a remote chance it could happen here. To me, This case in your piece in today's National Post tells us that, well, wait a minute here. Wake up, people. Bin Laden names Canada as part of this.
Yeah, of course, but can you think of one instance where a Liberal cabinet member or the Prime Minister has said, outright, be careful, Canadians are at risk? They never say that. Their approach is to downplay the threat. They don't want to be perceived as a problem in the war on terrorism. They don't want to acknowledge that there's a problem. Their attitude is to calm things. And, for example, look at the Australians this morning. The Australian government came out quite strongly, made a statement. We will not be pushed around by terrorists. We will continue with our own policies and be damned. I can't think of one single instance where the Liberal government, an MP, or anybody in the government has stood up and said, yes, we have a problem. We need to do something about it. Canadians need to be cautious. We're fully on side in the war on terrorism. We don't do that. We sort of Mickey Mouse around, and we let the British and the Australians make it clear that they're close allies of the Americans in the war on terrorism, but we don't do so.
Is that going to come back and bite us?
Well, I think it already has. I think it already has, in that we're perceived as part of the problem now, I think, in Washington, as opposed to being a fully on-board partner in the war on terrorism. So it already has repercussions. Look at the reaction that has come out of the United States in the last couple of weeks over our approach to terrorism.
But do Canadians get this? Have we made the connection? Because in many ways, Chrétien is able to read the public and the public mood on this. And I wonder if Canadians get the message, because we still see, going to the United States, let's face it, the majority of our population within 100 miles of the U.S. border. We do a tremendous amount of trade, but we still see this as an inconvenience crossing the border. I don't think people have made the connection. We feel sympathetic. We are on guard a bit more, but we still believe it can't happen here. But what you're saying and what this tape says is that, yes, it can, and it probably will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure the average Canadian really understands the nature of the threat. And, it's not... They should, because Canada really has been targeted since at least 1985, when we had the Air India bombing. That was a majority Canadians that were killed in that explosion. And so, but you can't really blame Canadians when they get this daily dish of garbage out of Ottawa coming from the federal government, which is sort of reassuring, patronizing, saying Canadians don't need to worry, we're not a target ourselves. I guess we need to do a few things to help our friends in the States, but we shouldn't worry.
Stuart Bell, what's your top 3 list? What should we be doing to get on side on this at this point? What does the Canadian government have to do?
I think what the government needs to do is to realize that the security of Canadians is a priority, and it has to be a priority that is greater than the value that the government currently places on, for example, the individual rights of accused terrorists and things like that. I mean, there's always a balancing act between these things, but currently the government, I think, puts a priority on the rights of refugee claimants, the rights of people that come to Canada from other countries and want to have certain freedoms. We give those people all kinds of rights, but we don't quite recognize that the security of the average Canadian is a more important value. And I think that's what needs to sink in Ottawa.
Stuart Bell, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Stuart Bell of the National Post joining us on the Superstation. I'd like your thoughts on this, because the Osama tape, I've got some other views that I want to communicate with you about what's being done or not being done, especially in the Middle East in the 9/11, the post-9/11 environment that we live in. Our lines are open. I'd like to know from you about this connect or this disconnect between our government, the U.S. government, and us as citizens. I still think the prevailing mood in Canada is that it's not our problem, that somehow we are still not part of this. It's the American problem. Well, we have evidence, folks. Osama bin Laden names Canada. Our lines are open, 780-6868, pound 680, toll-free on MTS Mobility. 1-800-665-2202. A very important conversation here on CJOB 68.
This is the Superstation, CJOB 68. Adler needs a break, and so do you. Call Richard Kluche, toll-free on the MTS Mobility Network at pound 680.
Forget about the halls. Deck the living room, dining room, and bedroom. Sears is your Christmas wish store because we sell more furniture than any individual retailer in Canada. And right now, at Sears Furniture and Appliance stores, almost all furniture and sleep sets are on sale. Plus, it's like there's no tax added. Details in store. The Sears Furniture Sale ends this week, so hurry in to your nearest Sears Furniture and Appliance store and put a little Sears in your life.
Celebrate the warmth of the Mediterranean at Barba Iani's. You'll enjoy the rich, flavorful food in the sunny, glass-enclosed atrium overlooking the hustle and bustle of the Forks. Barba Iani's, Winnipeg's Mediterranean connection. Gift certificates available.
For an office lunch or dinner out of the ordinary, try Remington's Seafood and Steakhouse, second floor, Forks Market. For prime steak, succulent seafood, mouth-watering ribs, and inspired pastas. 948-0010 for reservations.
Ever wished you could talk to the experts? Now you can. CJOB presents 1 hour of information on products, services, innovations, and events. This Tuesday from 8 till 9 p.m.
Do you employ your spouse or your children? Do you work for your parents or siblings? Talk with Grants International President Darren Earn to find out how you can save thousands of dollars if family is working in your business.
Talk to the experts. Tuesday from 8 till 9 p.m. on CJOB 68, the Superstation.
CJOB Guaranteed Weather Report for Winnipeg and southern Manitoba at 10:22 for the Brew Doctor, featuring $11 off all selection premium wine kits and $6 off selected Vintners Reserve wine kits. 5 locations including 2188 McPhillips at Kingsbury. The Brew Doctor, great wine and beer made easy. Sun and cloud mix today, north wind of 20 and the CJOB Guaranteed high -10. Clear tonight, a low -16. Sunshine back tomorrow, high -10, and sunny and -9 on Friday. Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy, -12. Wind is north at 6, and the relative humidity is 88%.
You can count on CJOB News. You need to know.
I'm Barry Burns on CJOB News today. The Premier extolling the virtues of doer days.
This is a good way to save money and a good way for people to spend a little more time with their families.
Environment Canada says it can't stay cold forever.
We could see a little bit of moderation as we get into the weekend.
And Sally Jesse is suing the Inquirer.
Don't let yourself be bullied by your boss, by your husband. Buy a newspaper.
No one covers the news like CJOB, the Superstation.
The lights on Portage and Main, skating at the Duck Pond, and the Santa Claus Parade. These are all great Winnipeg family Christmas traditions. Hello, I'm Jan Peterson from Shelmerdines, and we would like to be a part of your family's Christmas tradition too, because the magic of Christmas has returned to Shelmerdines. From trees to ornaments, Shelmerdines Gift Boutique is beautifully themed and charming detail. Browse through unique decorations, trims, garlands, wreaths, ribbons, stockings, and more, and many are Shelmerdine exclusive. And we've grown a great crop of quality poinsettias in reds, creams, and all the new designer colors in very unique shapes and sizes. And being the grower, we guarantee Shelmerdine poinsettias to be #1 in quality. So, for Winnipeg's finest selection of Christmas trees, poinsettias, decorations, and giftware, visit us soon at Shelmerdines, your one garden center for all seasons at 7800 Rollins.
Call 780-6868. Adler Online with Charles Adler is back in the saddle next week. Richard Kluche steering the herd now. This is the Superstation, CJOB 68.
He wanted to prove that he is alive. He wanted to send a message for Iraqi people that, look, I am an individual and I could hide from the United States, from the international community, and no one can catch me.
The trail for Osama bin Laden has been cold for nearly a year, but this new audio tape has surfaced, which is believed to contain his voice. That was Arabic satellite TV channel, and Ahmed Zidane, the channel's Islamabad bureau chief, saying the tape was a message from bin Laden to his followers. Canada is named in this as well. Several questions about this for Canadian security. And in so many ways, I believe the United States and the Canadian governments really missed a key opportunity here. A key opportunity. when we talk about the lack of morale in our military, we have missed an opportunity not only to fund our military, but also a call to service, a call to arms, if you will, in this country for public service. The military took such a beating, rightly so in this country, over the Somalia affair. But what about a call to service? To take on the terrorists, a new pride in Canada and Canadian peacekeeping, that we can play a role internationally again. We are becoming a joke. We missed the opportunity. Our government, the Chrétien government, missed a real golden opportunity. And to a certain extent, so did the Bush administration. A call to arms, if you will, for public service, be it the military, be it the CIA or the FBI. A call to public service here in Canada for CSIS, the RCMP, the military. An opportunity to stand out in the world. Not just to say, and not to just for Chrétien to idly stand by and occasionally say, yeah, we're with you. But more importantly, a call for public service in this country, to do something to make society a bit better. Those are my thoughts domestically, because in many cases, we are still part of the problem. Your views now at 780-6868. We begin with Rick. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Richard. Can I take a few minutes just to expand? I can't say this in just 30 seconds here. First and foremost, to call to service, right? Why would anybody knowingly volunteer for the Canadian Armed Forces when they know, any educated person already knows that they've been cash-starved, they're lacking equipment? Look at the sergeant there, Kipling, refusing a simple shot because he already had the knowledge that what the shot might do for him.
Well, exactly, and that's why we missed a real opportunity. A real opportunity to do something for our military, not only domestically but internationally. Rick, go ahead.
Our opportunity is not to join the military. What we should be looking at right now is the complete failure of the Liberal government on all fronts. The satellite dish story this morning was just an indication. Sheila Copps and the Liberals generally have been trying to promote anti-American sentiments for the last 20 years. We all know that. They're in their own minds, they feel that we as Canadians have to be distinct from the Americans, and despite their best efforts, Canadians feel a very, very strong union with the United States.
This is the traditional view of Liberals as far as counterweights are concerned. This goes back to the fact that we're dealing with the elephant, we're the mouse, we need a counterweight involved in this, and, you know, sometimes we've embraced trade with other nations as a result of that, but ultimately, we're in bed with them because they're our biggest trading partner, and when they have the sniffles, we get a cold, no matter what.
It goes beyond trade. We've been linked to them for longer than But here's the thing, though. You want to part of the fault here. Hezbollah, Al Qaeda, and about 50 other terrorist organizations around the world. Why don't you get the lady that was on during the initial invasion into Afghanistan, the woman speaker from the Manitoba Islamic Center? Ask her what she feels about Hezbollah and Al Qaeda. What she feels about the Americans going in and getting Iraq. You know, we have these people in and amongst our civilian population, and you're saying, well, it's just Canada has just been blacklisted by Al Qaeda. So what does that mean? Is that the activation of sleeper cells? And anybody that doesn't think Canada is a target, why don't you try to get the RCMP to tell you about how many times they've had people out near Verdun, where they have a gas line that goes down and gives the Americans their aircraft fuel. We've had terrorist activity inside this province, but it's all held on a hush-hush. I mean, when we invite terrorists in, I mean, freedom of religion is one thing, but when you get people on air who speak for the so-called Manitoba Islamics, and they're condemning the Americans and the Canadians that feel it's necessary to go in and get rid of Al Qaeda, it's a failure of our government. And it's a failure of our press to keep us informed of the actual facts. Why?
But, Rick, we should also, and I agree with you, there have been unreported activities because of so-called national security in this. But what has to happen, the problem is not Islam. It's a problem with a faction of Islam. And there have been no, and correct me if I'm wrong, what Arab leader has stood up and denounced bin Laden? Do you know of anyone?
No, but you know what? They're a victim of their own. They're a victim of their own fear that the terrorists, they can't stand up and denounce Saddam Hussein.
Well, hang on. Why not?
They live in fear.
Yeah, but why not? Because we live in fear. The Americans live in fear. There's enough blame here to go around. The Arab leaders should be standing up as well. Perhaps there's guilt because the Saudis funded bin Laden as well.
Richard,
and the whole idea, hang on, Rick, I gave you your, you give me mine. But the whole idea of this is perhaps there's guilt because if we can offload it on the Americans, and the whole idea of American ideals is that hopefully we can buy bin Laden off and he'll vent his anger, his terrorist activities towards the West as opposed to turning it on ourselves. The Arab world has to stand up as well. They absolutely do, and they haven't.
Yeah, but here's our point. Even in our society today, you're not going to find too many people that will stand up and speak the truth. Why? Because there's that fear. Even in our own government, they will not address the issues. They will not give specifics. They try to avoid and cover it over. Why? There's fear. Even in Manitoba, if you clearly defined what the targets were and why, you're going to be branded a racist. You're going to be branded that you're stirring things up. It's the fear that the terrorist organizations generate, and we're actually victims here, and we don't even realize it.
Rick, thank you so much for joining us this morning on CJOB 68. I agree with some of what you said, not entirely all of it, but it's a good conversation starter. We'll get your thoughts in a moment.
You're listening to Manitoba's #1 talk show, Adler Online with Richard Kluche. Chuck's cooling off in the cellar this week. Call Richard at 780-6868.
Hey, I haven't seen you here before. Good-looking mat like you. You're not from around here, are you?
I'm a Quintex mat. I'm here to control the dirt, mud, and dust in this doorway.
Well, hey, don't worry your pretty little fibers. I'm taking care of it.
You don't seem to have taken care of it so far. Move over, scummy. Quintex is here to stop the dirt and dust at the door, and that includes you.
Hey!
Stop dirt and dust at the door. Call Quintex Mat Rental Services at 477-6600.
Nothing's more fierce than a Winnipeg winter. And nothing tames a Winnipeg winter like a home heating system by Rheem. Any furnace can make your home warmer, but a Rheem high-efficient furnace can do the job more efficiently, dependably, and quieter, too. If you want to relax this winter, call Balkan & Sons today for an estimate on a Rheem heating system for your home. If you want the job done right, call Red and White. Balkan & Sons Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Planning a party is a lot of work. Don't stress yourself out with all the details. Count on Ray and Jerry's Steakhouse to cater your next social event. Choose from their exciting menu, including fancy sandwiches, hot and cold hors d'oeuvres, fruit, cheese, and vegetable platters, and more. And don't forget Ray and Jerry's specialties, steak and prime rib. Or request your favorite, and they'll prepare it just the way you like it. Straight from their kitchen to yours. Ray and Jerry's Steakhouse Catering Service. For more information, call 775-8154.
I don't know. It just doesn't look right. Something's missing.
Yeah, we should have started with the color scheme.
Take the hassle out of repainting your home or office. Color Schemes Journeyman Painters offers you a professional approach to painting. Projects begin and end on time, guaranteed. Whether it's simply plaster repair or a complete renovation, every great paint job starts with a color scheme. Color Scheme Professionals. Call today for your free color consultation. 452-3633.
What's music to your ears? How about unlimited golf? At Bridges Golf Course, golf all season for as little as $1,150. That's right, unlimited golf for the entire 2003 season. Or choose a riding package for only $1,350. Don't wait for next year. Only 50 packages are being offered. Call today for more details. 735-3000. 735-3000. Remember, only 50 packages are available. Bridges Golf Course, just 10 minutes west of the perimeter on Highway number 2.
So you got guys to buy for this Christmas? Well, sweaters make a great gift, and Sears is your Christmas wish store because we have lots to choose from. In fact, Sears sells more men's sweaters than any other individual retailer in Canada. This Friday and Saturday, you'll save 30 to 50% on men's regular price sweaters from Point Zero, Van Heusen, and more. It's all at the 2-day power sale this Friday and Saturday. So put a little Sears in your life.
We're back. Well, not all of us. Adler Online with Charles Adler returns next week. Richard Kluche fills the big boots this week. Call him now at 780-6868. This is CJOB 68, the Superstation.
The Arab world has to stand up as well. They absolutely do, and they haven't.
Even in our society today, you're not going to find too many people that will stand up and speak the truth. Why? Because there's that fear. Even in our own government, they will not address the issues. They will not give specifics. They try to avoid and cover it over. Why? There's fear, even in Manitoba.
Richard Cloutier with you in today for Charles Adler. Charles returns tomorrow. Bottom line education. What's being done and what's being taught in the schools about bin Laden and bin Ladenism? Here in Canada, we need to do a lot more. A lot more. But what's being done in the Arab world? This is Chris on CJOB 68. Good morning, Chris.
Oh, hi. Good morning. How do you do?
Good.
Okay, the topic is today post-September 11th, is it? Is that it?
What are your thoughts on this? Because the fact is that the so-called